Start your ignition, rev your engine, put the pedal to the metal, and accelerate into a high-octane episode full of high-octane action, high-octane bickering, and high-octane Buddy Ebsen. Our spark plugs are firing on all cylinders as we pull one of those sweet spin-aroundy moves and hydroplane into Hardcastle and McCormick. Yeah, we're car guys, so what? Battle of the Network shows. Join Rick Brooks and Mike Kogel as they explore the TV of the 70s and 80s through hand-picked episodes of their favorite and not-so-favorite series.
Welcome to another Battle of the Network shows. I'm Mike.
And I'm Rick.
Today we're getting back into the Stephen J. Cannell catalog. The show I certainly remember watching when I was a kid. Possibly not as much as I thought, but I definitely remember it. And it's Hardcastle and McCormick, which maybe loosely, I think we even did, and when we talked about Knight Rider, could be put in the vehicle show or car show category. But I mean, it has a cool car in it, and that's part of the show. But
Yeah.
I would say it's more like a buddy cop show.
It seems like it, yeah. It does seem like there's a strong degree of car worship going on.
Yeah.
I think nowadays, though, that people that remember the show love the car more than the buddies, maybe.
Right.
Is just my general impression, but I'm far from an expert on this one.
Yeah. This one aired on ABC for 3 seasons, starting in '83, right? Mm-hmm. I guess it was maybe the last of Cannell's ABC shows. But the A-Team had already premiered on NBC. But before that, he had a number of flops.
Yeah.
So the A-Team sort of saved his production company, I think. Co-created by Patrick Hasberg, who they later did 21 Jump Street together. It's a story of a judge, Milton C. Hardcastle, played by Brian Keith. And he's about to retire, and he takes on a project. Parolee, someone who he had sent to prison before in a complicated thing where a guy got accused of stealing his girlfriend's car, but really it was his car or something. I don't know. But he decided to take him on sort of as a protege project. He was going to reform him and also utilize his less than legal skills to help track down and finally convict 200 people he thought got away.
Yeah, he had like a whole list.
Technicalities, yeah.
Like he'd been compiling over the years.
Yeah, apparently that actually they got dropped pretty quickly from the stories, but was still it's mentioned in the opening credits by, pretty sure the same voiceover guy who did the A-Team voiceover.
Yeah.
the guy, McCormick, played by Daniel Hugh Kelly, is a former race car driver, and in the pilot, some of it involves him getting hold of this experimental race car, the Coyote, which is like a red and white, pretty cool looking car. No car guy, but I certainly don't remember this, but in kind of reading up on it, it actually changed in the second season. They used a different car as the base for it.
Wow.
A DeLorean. I don't think it looks like a DeLorean, but it still looks different than the original one, which is based on some other.
Did the original car want too much money for the second season?
Yeah, I think so. They had multiple versions. So they had one for close-ups, they had one for chase scenes, and then they had one for jumps.
I see. Well, California labor laws also stipulate that you can't keep a car on the set more than X number of hours a day because it's cruel to the car. So,
yeah,
understandable they would have multiples.
Of course, yeah. So it's a mix of action and comedy, as many Stephen J. Cannell shows are. A lot of non-violent violence and exploding cars with people walking away from them, gunfights and nobody getting shot.
Right.
The usual.
Yeah.
And I guess it occasionally got more serious. But the main focus of it is this relationship between these guys, who sort of are definitely a little bit of an odd couple, a little bit of a father-son thing. Brian Keith's Hardcastle is a maverick judge, maybe even, an activist judge in a way?
Yes, but like in a very law and order kind of 1980s way. Like,
yes, a very...
Like fed up with the system. Yeah,
kind of Reagan era.
Right.
Yeah, fed up with the system, slightly vigilante.
Yeah.
He seems to be somehow have some legit connections to the cops, and he was part of his backstory is he was a cop before he became a lawyer and a judge. Maybe he just went straight to judge.
He's not some egghead academic judge.
Exactly.
He came from the streets.
Yeah, and he's from Arkansas, and he's got a whole collection of colorful characteristics. He likes Dixieland jazz and guns, and he's a widower. He lives in this big mansion, which we didn't really see in this episode much at all, I think. But
no, I think I saw it in another clip though.
It's in the
remarkably.
credits.
He did quite well on the bench.
His wife. It was,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he had a son who died in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Which I think comes up once or something, what I could tell. But
so that kind of helps this father-son relationship.
Yeah.
He's like the son he didn't have. I see.
Yeah. But of course, they're not the kind of guys who talk about feelings.
No, of course not.
And McCormick's from New Jersey and talks like he's from New Jersey.
No.
And, he's very street smart. And he didn't have a good relationship with his dad. Who later shows up, played by Steve Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he is a singer. And that's kind of the gist of the show. They solve crimes, they bicker,
Yeah.
and they kind of have a good time.
Including some car chases.
Of course.
Yeah.
I do remember watching this a decent amount when I was a kid. And I'm confused now because then I'm reading up. Like I always thought my memory is it was a Monday show, which it eventually was. Mm-hmm. But for the first season and a half, it was a Sunday show. And it was on against Knight Rider.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Knight Rider was only in its second season, I think. Mm-hmm. So that means I dropped Knight Rider even quicker than I thought I did.
Wow. Jolted it for Hardcastle and McCormick?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then in the second season, it was up against Knight Rider and Murder, She Wrote. I remember watching a good deal of Murder, She Wrote, too. So maybe I gave up on Hardcastle and McCormick.
And what was the car that Jessica Fletcher drove? I don't remember. What was her sweet ride?
The Death Machine?
Oh, okay. That rings a bell now.
Yeah. The Munster Mobile? I don't know. Pale Horse?
You're just flipping channels trying to find some kind of car that you can get into.
Right.
And then the next year, you were looking at PBS, and it was, Masterpiece Theater, and you were getting like horse and buggies.
Yeah, there aren't any cars at all.
Yeah.
And then when it moved to Mondays, one of its big competitors was Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And I know I watched some of that too. So Kate and Allie was, I think, a competitor at some point. But so I did get and read parts of a fan-written book about the show. And this guy talking about the ratings, so it sounds like the first year it was competitive on Sundays. It was sometimes number one, sometimes number two. But generally, it sounded like it did okay. And then Murder, She Wrote showed up, and it started to have some trouble, and they moved it around some, and eventually moved it to Mondays. And then the third season, it was paired with Monday Night Football, which you think it's on before Monday Night Football. Maybe that would be, it'd help it even if it's the lead-in to it. But it was only the lead-in on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it followed Monday Night Football. And depending on how long the game went, it would be delayed and stuff. And at least this guy's suggestion is that damaged the ratings.
Interesting.
Which is surprising. You wouldn't think that. But you would think maybe even better, it's the lead-in.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed, that 8 o'clock ABC time slot was a good one, one that you would value, but I hadn't thought of it the other way.
Yeah, they get canceled.
I just think it's odd that the two car shows were up against each other in the same night.
Yeah, I'm surprised, and I didn't remember Knight Rider being on Sundays, which might have come up when we did Knight Rider, too.
Yeah, I thought of it more as like a Friday show or something, yeah.
So,
I mean, Murder, She Wrote 2 would have had 60 Minutes as a lead-in, and NFL football a lot of times, whereas ABC did not have any football on Sundays. That would have been kind of a tougher thing for them, maybe.
Yeah.
I did not watch this show at all.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I think I can remember thinking it was probably dumb. and probably like a lot of the things, because as we've discussed, I was not into cars that much.
Yeah.
The A-Team, I would watch more for like the characters than vehicles or something like that.
Right.
Although it wasn't really a car show, but Knight Rider, kind of the same. It was okay, but I wasn't. So this, but some of the stuff that I would have thought was dumb now I see it like in these clips and think, oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It kind of made me want to watch it again, which maybe is kind of one of the reasons we selected it for this season.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see it again, and really, I remembered the two leads in the car, and the two theme songs.
Yeah.
So the main theme song, called Drive, written by Mike Post and with someone who wrote the lyrics, is a rockin' song about driving cars.
Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All sorts of pushing pedals and doing things, and then it's got a cool little bridge about the slow motion man. And, you know, it's a really cool song, and the end credits had an instrumental version that had horns and stuff. It's really cool too. And then in the second season, there's like a different song sung by, I believe, the guy who sung Greatest American Hero, Joey Scarberry. Mm-hmm. And it's more like a pop song. It's called Back to Back, and it's a cool song. Like if you find that on YouTube, it's a good theme song. It seems a little more appropriate for like Perfect Strangers or something, but you know.
Yeah.
And the guy in this book said, well, lots of debate online, which is a better song. With some people arguing that, you know, Back to Back more mirrors the second season focus on the relationship. So anyway, it lasted like half the season, and then they went back to the other one.
That fascinates me.
Now,
that they went back to the original one.
It fascinates me that they changed it at all.
Yeah.
That they went back, and that like the Wikipedia, but it didn't. I cited anything. Said, you know, a letter writing campaign got it changed back.
Wow, that is really interesting.
Yeah. Now there was a thing in the book about a woman who started like a fanzine to mail around
back then.
Yeah, during the second season, and they actually helped get it renewed for a third season. So maybe there was.
Wow.
Some hue and cry about this song.
I'd like to explore that more. To me, that's the most interesting thing about the series.
Oh yeah,
that's very bizarre. To change it and then to change it back in the middle of the season.
Right. There's one episode that has a countrified version of Back to Back.
Ooh.
So there are actually 3.
Wow. But you prefer the Drive, the first one.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about this just because of the way my life was. You know, I didn't really get into music until like late 80, maybe like 84, 85. So I think my primary source of rock music was cool Mike Post theme songs.
Yeah. That's a gateway, if ever there was one.
And this was one of them.
Yeah. And
another reason to like the show.
Yeah, and the whole opening sequence is like the voiceover and the opening sequence, as you would expect it. It sets things up and shows the characters kind of doing like wacky stuff. And
yeah, a lot of shooting of like chandeliers and things.
Right. Definitely implies a lot of action.
Yeah.
As I mentioned off mic, Hardcastle looking amazingly buff.
He is pretty buff.
For a retired judge.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know Brian Keith was... I mean, I just thought of him as kind of a big guy, maybe.
Right.
Maybe a little burly, kind of like... No Brian Dennehy, mind you. But somebody that could hold his own, but in some of those shots, he looks like he's pretty thick.
Yeah.
He can handle himself in a tussle.
Yeah. Apparently he was also happy because the location for the house, for the exterior shots, was like right down the road from his house. Oh, like
nice.
He could walk there.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brian Keith had been on Family Affair for like 5 years, a very gentle family sitcom. Was on The Westerner, a cool Sam Peckinpah TV series, black and white Western. And had been a lot of movies and things like that. And this may be the second biggest thing he did as the star behind Family Affair. I guess he'd probably still be most famous for Family Affair, which with Sebastian Cabot, which I watched that as a kid. But
how much was he on that? Because I didn't watch that show a lot, but it seemed like it was like him leaving for work and then the kids and Sebastian Cabot and then him coming home.
Yeah, I think my recollection is that a lot of it is like, I wouldn't be surprised if he shot his scenes the way like Fred McMurray did on My Three Sons, because it seemed like they could have built like seasons around him, just like taping a bunch of things of him sitting in a chair or giving like words of wisdom. But his character was a pretty eligible bachelor at the time too, so on that show. So
yeah, was he a widower or he adopted these kids?
He was their uncle. He was their uncle. He adopted them because the parents had died in an accident, I think. Yeah.
Sitcoms.
Yeah. That classic sitcom premise.
Anyway, I would say this fits into the mold of Stephen Cannell shows of the 80s.
Yeah.
Action, humor.
And very guy-centric.
Very guy-centric, yeah.
There's really were there any lasting female characters of any
Apparently
import?
not, no.
Yeah,
a couple housekeepers.
Yeah.
No steady girlfriends or anything.
Yeah, Daniel Hugh Kelly, I don't remember him from much else, although turns out he was in a lot more than I realized.
I mean, the big one is I Married Dora.
Yes, and we'll definitely be putting that something from that in the YouTube playlist. And we have at least one listener and fan who I think will be very happy that we mentioned I Married Dora.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, I would say enjoy it, because I don't know if we're going to get to do a whole show on that, because episodes seem to be hard to find.
Right. Be controversial, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's done more, but yeah, I don't remember seeing him. Every now and then, yeah, he might pop up on
Yeah. Seems
something.
like he's done maybe stage work and stuff. Or,
Yeah, guest stars,
Yeah.
guest roles. And he was in Cujo
Yeah.
right before
Oh, okay.
this. He was, I mean, I never saw that. But
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as someone that I would cast as this role. It's a little surprising. It seems like a little disconnect there. I mean, I guess he's kind of like he's supposed to be kind of like a irreverent,
yeah,
but I don't know, as a car thief
right.
and
Well,
like
I think
an expert driver. I didn't
the
really
expert
see it.
driver thing, well, I don't know if I don't see that or not, but I think the car thief stuff was accidental. Or he sort of fell into that. But,
Okay.
The character, but, he seems essentially like a decent guy.
Okay.
To me, I don't know. But he has done a hard time. He doesn't seem, maybe he doesn't seem. He is the actor's from New Jersey, too.
Okay. And I'll say, unfortunately, when we do Battle of the Network shows, I like to do a little bit of preparation. But Hardcastle and McCormick, like on one hand, it's amazing. Like the whole series is out on DVD.
Yeah.
And has been for quite a while.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not as available as I hoped it would be.
No. And it was airing like on Charge or something, right?
Yeah, or Get TV, I think,
TV,
for a while,
okay.
which surprised me. They're like, oh, wow, they dusted that one off. But
Yeah.
so it's available. But
No.
I guess it has, like 60-some episodes?
Yeah, like
3
67.
seasons, yeah.
There's like in that book, there's an image of like a press release that has a Paramount logo on it.
Yeah, I think,
So I guess, most of those Canal shows are Universal.
yeah, that's
So maybe that's affected.
the company that put out Hardcastle and McCormick. They license a lot of shows from like Paramount,
Okay.
CBS, so that didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But
But that might explain why it's not. Like all these other Canal shows are showing up on Amazon. and
oh yeah,
places.
yeah. I think too, a lot of it. I think it's VEI.
Yeah.
Like it seems like when they license those, they don't show up anywhere else for a while. Like you kind of, and you have to get them on DVD, and you're not gonna find them like some of the usual online places, which
Yeah.
much to my chagrin.
Right.
So just a reminder that if anybody tells you, oh, everything is available streaming now, no, it's not.
No. Yeah, we had to do some digging to
Yeah.
find that. Well, we did. It did seem like a lot of stuff is in that location. Maybe
Yeah.
not everything. But
Yeah, yeah. So
it's all poorly labeled.
right. It's a little bit less convenient. So as a result, I think I pretty much watched this episode, some scenes from another one, and
Yeah.
I think one of the other ones we considered is I started watching that's where you might hope it would be, but
Yeah.
it's not labeled as such.
Right.
With it has special guest star Robert Cole.
Oh, okay.
So I started watching that one, but
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of memories of the show, and really I came in kind of cold, probably colder than I have in a while to one of our episodes. Didn't know a whole lot about this, but I did watch the one we're talking about.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I can assure you, I did watch this one.
Yeah.
Killer Bees.
I don't know why it's called the Killer Bees.
Well, I mean we've got Buddy Ebsen. He's one bee.
Okay.
Brian Keith is the other.
Maybe.
And it's weird because it's Buddy Ebsen playing Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah.
And does he explicitly mention Barnaby Jones or Is he just
Hardcastle calls it that detective show.
okay? So they don't actually say it, but he's apparently playing Barnaby Jones. So it's in
He's playing Buddy Ebsen.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's playing the guy that played Barnaby Jones.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's on Earth Prime, you would think,
Right.
but maybe not. So who's the other B? Oh, maybe B Movies.
Oh, that's okay.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Well, now that we solved that,
All right. Good night. But it opens with a car chase
it does. Yes.
with none of our main characters in it.
Right. Yeah, they must have had a quota for the car chases. Huh?
Yeah. And it's quite the car chase. It involves some chips, not the chips we want to see, but just some California highway patrolmen in cars, and they're chasing a car, and another car is like trying to run interference.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy ends up like doing something and flipping, and his car explodes, and $500,000 worth of cocaine burns up. 80s.
Yeah, people all over the country were crying at that. That was one of the most devastating losses they had witnessed on TV that year.
Yeah.
No.
Then the other guy has to call his boss, and his boss is not happy.
No.
What's that actor's name?
The Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie Sands is a character.
Oh, Ed Winter.
Yeah, I think so. It's the guy that played Colonel Flagg on MASH.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And boy, he really dives into this character.
He does. I found his performance pretty entertaining.
I did too. There was like a Regis quality to him.
I like that. Yes, that's pretty good.
Say something. Just start out kind of normal, and then I'm trying to think of You better get it, or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And he had a mustache.
Nice fairly thin mustache.
Yeah. So he's like the king of the B movies, or maybe not the king, but he's a B movie producer, but also one of the biggest cocaine dealers in California, in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, some good crossover there.
Yeah.
Seems like a reasonable sideline.
So
Which is the sideline, though?
Using like stunt drivers to go drive down to Mexico and bring in cocaine.
Yeah.
They mentioned the movie Thunder Road, which I've never seen, but I guess all of that is a nod to Thunder Road. Like that's like race car drivers like smuggling moonshine or something. Right?
Yeah. Thunder Road is the
Mitchum
movie, yeah.
And then we see Hardcastle and McCormick at a drive-in, and they've been watching all these Eddie Sands movies.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this scene because it really didn't make much sense to me.
Oh, yeah. Like, why would you?
Well,
why is the drive-in only showing the Eddie Sands movies?
Yeah. Well, all that, and granted, they don't have IMDb at the time, but
right.
It's like they're sitting through these movies just so that they can.
They're cross-referencing people in the credits.
Yeah.
With like a list of ex-cons.
Yeah, like Hardcastle's got all these contacts in law enforcement, but he doesn't have any. But he can't like call somebody in Los Angeles and ask them to to look up who's in this movie, or he can't get an old New York Times or LA Times and look in the cast listings they used to put for movies.
Well, it's
credit listings.
Their crew.
Yeah, but
it's,
he's looking like he's not exactly going for like the third assistant grip or on these.
No.
He's like executive producer Eddie Sands. Okay, now write that down. That's a big name.
I know. That's who we're investigating.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing
he doesn't need McCormick there either. He's making him
Right.
go to these terrible movies.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs him there.
And it's great exposition.
Yeah. Right.
I think it's one of McCormick's first like two great exposition lines. Where he's just like, I know we're trying to watching these movies to get a view of the credits, but do we really have to go to He just kind of rattles off like why they're there in a couple of it while they're like fighting over the popcorn or whatever.
Yeah. So it is good for that too. The bickering.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny visual. The two of them at a drive-in theater. That's definitely funny.
In the dumpy pickup truck.
Yeah. Seems totally pointless, but
yeah.
Maybe they wanted to see some movies. They probably just wanted to go hang out too.
And it was cool because the credits in the movie were in the exact same font as the show credits.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
No dollar wasted on this show.
No.
But like all the guys on this, the payroll are ex-cons. And McCormick has I'm reading this from the book because it's a memorable quote.
Okay.
This guy Sands has got more ex-cons working for him than a jail cell's got bars.
Boy, if only we could read some of the opinions on the bench that Judge Hardcastle wrote, because he's quite a wordsmith.
Oh, that was McCormick who said that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, in that case...
Unfortunately, Eddie Sands never came through his courtroom. He keeps getting away with it.
Yeah, keep getting away with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's... like
it kills witnesses.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, every time he's just about to be brought up on charges of drug trafficking, I guess.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it?
He gets away with it.
Yeah. By the way, like Eddie Sands, it's a good thing that he's like entertaining to watch because I didn't think anybody in his henchman crew really distinguished themselves.
No.
They don't get a lot to do and there's not much going there. So
they seem like they might have actually been stuntmen.
Yeah, that could be. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's you're right there. So Hardcastle has this excellent plan to how to get to him.
Yeah. What a great vision he has.
He's gonna call in a favor from his old friend Buddy Ebsen.
His old friend Buddy Ebsen,
who he once saved from drowning.
Yeah.
And he wants Buddy to take a role in Eddie Sands' latest picture. So they go to this restaurant called Apollo's Golden Chariot to have a sit down with him, and Hardcastle's trying to talk about the thing, and McCormick's just like gushing over.
Yeah, he's starstruck.
Yeah. Offering him more wine. And says he loved him in Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
But Buddy kind of likes it. I also like Buddy had one of those, the blue blazer with the like little crest on it.
Yeah.
It was very old man of him.
Yeah, but he seemed like a pretty cool guy in this episode. Very agreeable.
Yeah.
Decent sort.
Yeah. Also, I like he doesn't want to do this because the movie's so terrible.
Yeah. He's got like professional pride.
Yeah. Until Hardcastle hands him his file, and Buddy looks through it as if he's suddenly Barnaby Jones.
Right.
Oh, wait, you say he sells drugs to kids?
Yeah, he sells dope.
Dope.
He sells dope to kids?
Yeah. All right.
Yep. Yeah. You can count him in after that.
I'll do it. I'll offer myself in this role, and it'll start film. We'll just be in the start filming the movie tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because of course that's how movies work.
They do when Buddy Ebsen's on board.
Yeah.
Things get. He opens a lot of doors that would.
That movie was
take longer to
stalled.
Yeah.
Like, we need an old guy to play a sheriff. Maybe Eddie Sands couldn't get foreign financing for this until he got a name attached.
That's right. Yes. Andy Griffith was holding out. He wouldn't do this. Finally got Buddy Ebsen, then bam.
Yeah.
Opens a lot of doors.
Oh, yeah, that was cool, too. That someone took a Polaroid of Buddy, and McCormick photobombed him.
Yeah, for no apparent reason. I mean, he just really seemed like a jerkish thing to do, didn't it? He just pops his head in it, like...
Yeah.
That didn't even... It just seemed like totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was funny.
It was funny.
But, like, why would you even do that?
Yeah, I don't know now. Think about it. It just,
I mean, just totally...
dumb grin on his face, so I enjoyed it. But
like, totally lack of self-awareness.
yeah.
But I guess that's part of the reason why he needs a mentor like Milton Hardcastle.
Exactly.
This lack of self-control.
Because Milton Hardcastle clearly has self-awareness.
He does. Yes. Very much so.
He doesn't seem to pay attention to what anyone else says, but...
He's got total self-awareness.
Yeah. Now, the other part of this plan that probably makes even less sense than Buddy Ebsen. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of it makes sense. He gets in, and then they go as his entourage, and...
Which, sorry, I just find that funny.
Yeah.
But yes, continue.
Here's my entourage of two people.
Yeah.
McCormick is the skilled driver.
Mm-hmm.
And Hardcastle thinks a lot of himself, but, But the plan is that Hardcastle will be Buddy's stunt driver.
Yeah.
And McCormick will be a gopher. And yet somehow this will allow McCormick to get in with Sands so that he can
do the driving.
Do the driving, yeah. You'd think if he were a stunt driver, that would give him closer to that goal.
Well, the bottom line is Hardcastle's not going to go get coffee for anybody.
No.
He didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He'd rather drive around these unsafe cars, put his own life at risk.
Exactly.
Than fetch coffee.
As he points out, the stunt doesn't happen until the end of the shoot.
Yeah.
And by then they will have finished everything. And
yeah.
The movie's not going to get finished because they'll have arrested him.
Yeah. So he had it thought through pretty well.
Yeah, I guess so.
The stunt doesn't happen until the end of the shoot.
Right.
Because I guess he had gotten a look at their shooting script and their schedule. And
yeah. Call sheets.
Knew that this stunt could kill everybody, so of course they'll schedule it for the end.
Right. Second unit, you don't need Buddy around anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So then we get to see them on the movie set and get to meet our other special 80s guest star, Tracy Scoggins.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of her first roles.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I mean, she didn't seem her acting ability didn't seem up to par yet.
And not quite the master thespian skills she showed on the Colbys.
Right, yes. Her Hawaiian Heat.
Yes.
Actually, that might have been on before this. I don't know.
Well, this is, I was going to say this was before she was more brunette, but like looking at some early commercials and stuff, she was brunette, so I guess she was just blonde for this role, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe this period.
Yeah.
Was she on the first iteration of Baywatch?
Don't think so, but
okay.
Seemed like maybe she might have been on a I don't know.
Some other thing where she was in Hawaiian Heat, yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to research that later. I was a big Tracy Scoggins fan.
Sure.
She's like one of the underrated, kind of like that second tier of 80s kind of actresses. But like the part where McCormick gets closer to her in order to get to Eddie Sands, that part made it a little bit more sense to me. I can see McCormick going for that.
Yeah, that did, but he kind of improvised that.
Yeah, that sort of became. I guess that wasn't really the plan to begin with.
Yeah,
but you can't.
Or
really
he
blame
was
him
supposed
for
to do it by just giving her coffee.
Yeah, instead of just totally. Yeah, just getting her coffee every day and doing everyday things for it, just being around.
Right.
Not so much like ruining a shot by barging into a live shoot with a drink or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, like a water thing full of coffee.
Yeah, it's funny that like McCormick is like the total novice here, but Hardcastle seems to know exactly what goes on in a movie set.
Of course he does.
He's
a judge.
Yeah. Yeah. He acts like he's been there before. That's for sure.
I guess there's also a running theme of McCormick being clumsy, which seems weird. But
okay. Well, that would explain some things.
Yeah, he was kind of clumsy when he walked into that shot. Because I don't think he did that intentionally. Like, I don't think that was part of the plan.
At first, I thought maybe he must have, but I think you're right. I think he didn't.
Because Hardcastle was giving him grief about it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He didn't defend himself or anything, so.
Right. McCormick does go and talk to Tracy Scoggins' character, whose actor name is Crystal Dawn, and she's Eddie Sands' girl.
That's a pretty good actress name.
That is a good actress name, yeah.
I mean, maybe not necessarily as a mainstream actress.
Right.
But for certain kind of things, that's a great actress name.
Yeah. Later, we learn her real name's Sally, something. And they're talking, they're sort of flirty, but then she sees Eddie pulling up, and she just, like, tenses up and shuts her trailer door.
Yeah.
And then they're having an argument in there, and Hardcastle's kind of snooping on that. He's snooping around in general. His big clue that he finds is a receipt for the place where they get the cars worked on. And he shows it to Buddy, and Buddy wants to help him. He wants in on the action.
Yeah. Hey, once he gets a sniff of a good case.
Yeah. I hope that was like part of his demand for doing, in real life, for doing the role.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll come on and play myself.
Yeah.
But I need to get to do some action.
Yeah.
You can't just treat me like Buddy Ebsen. You're like, oh, well, okay.
It's good. Buddy Ebsen gets to do some detective, and on the show, Hardcastle gets to do some stunt driving.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of stuff going on in this episode.
So very layered.
Yeah.
So they go off to investigate. Meanwhile, Crystal/Sally has apologized to McCormick and invited him to Thai food, which I assumed would be at a restaurant, but it's not. It's at her swank apartment. And they're having a nice conversation as she's telling, sort of the standard actress off the bus from the Midwest kind of thing, or the South, wherever, getting under the sway of this movie producer who's a jerk.
Yeah. She realizes that he's not the best guy in the world.
Yeah, and she's trying to break up with him.
Yeah.
Of course, but Eddie Sands, nobody breaks up with Eddie Sands.
Yeah. It can be very hard to do something that Eddie Sands doesn't want you to do.
That's right. Nobody leaves Eddie. I know he has some line.
Yeah.
And then Eddie shows up at her apartment, and McCormick hides in the closet, and then but McCormick takes advantage of the situation and uses it to offer himself to drive to Eddie.
Yeah, he tries to turn it into like, okay, well, here's the real... I mean, I guess, doesn't he say something like, he admits that he wanted to... It was the only way to get to him.
Yeah.
Was to, like, hang out with his girlfriend and stuff, because you're such a hard guy to get to.
Right.
So I guess he sort of implies that he was on the movie set in the first place, because he thinks he'd be good for his operation.
Yeah, exactly. And you could say, she's disappointed. She thought he was, like, a real decent guy.
Yeah.
Which he is, but it just,
Layers,
exactly. And then we see Buddy and Hardcastle breaking into this garage, and that's where like Thunder Road comes up, and they open the hood of a car and find like a little hatch, and their cars have like, I guess, souped up engines and stuff too.
A little aftermarket work being done on them.
Yeah, and then a guy sees them and starts shooting at them, and they hightail it out of there.
Yeah, as much as two men in their mid-60s can hightail that.
Right. Well, they do have a Corvette.
Yeah. That helps.
Yeah, and the guy calls Eddie Sands to tell him, or is in person, I don't remember, but, is explaining, well, two guys are breaking, one of them was Buddy Ebsen.
Right.
He's not sure about the other one, but he might be that stunt guy or something, but the best line, Eddie Sands like, what do you want me to do, kill Buddy Ebsen? Even he knows there are lines you can't cross.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get back, and Buddy's late for the scene, and the director's all worked up about that.
Yeah, that director was kind of a piece of work.
Yeah.
We didn't see a whole lot of him, but
No.
he's a professional trying to do his job, and I can't blame him for being a little exasperated. But
yeah,
because you imagine Eddie Sands, he didn't become like the premier B movie producer by wasting time. I'm sure he's got these directors like filming
Exactly.
bam, 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 quick.
Yeah. Clearly, I mean, we see he knows how to use his resources for more than one thing. So
Yes, that's right.
I get my money's worth out of these cars. They jump over ramps, and then they deliver cocaine.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Sometimes they jump over the ramp and immediately deliver the cocaine. That would be the best if he could really work that out.
I have somebody at the bottom of the ramp standing there with a briefcase of $100 bills.
And he filmed all his movies right on the border.
Yeah.
He's driving.
Like, actually build a ramp to go over the border.
Yes.
The ramp literally goes over the border and lands. Comes back with a briefcase full of $100 bills.
But then there's been a schedule change, and they want Hardcastle to do the stunt now. McCormick doesn't want him to do it. We see the guy from the auto shop planting a bomb, and Hardcastle does it, and the bomb blows up, and the car wrecks, but he's okay.
Yeah.
Of course he's okay.
Yeah. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
And my favorite part of that is that McCormick and Buddy go out there in the Coyote, and then, like, Buddy's putting out the fire with a fire extinguisher.
Right. Well...
And he finds the evidence of the bomb.
That's another way you have to work lean on a B-movie shoot. You know, you don't necessarily have the safety personnel on standby that you would in a major Hollywood studio production.
Yeah, that's the credits for this movie if it had gotten made. Was Buddy Ebsen, Sheriff so-and-so / safety person.
Yep. And he had to chip in.
They get that guy and they haul him off to jail.
Yeah.
I guess for planting a bomb.
It
means they're going to have to work fast.
Right.
But they also think because of Eddie's going to have to work fast because he lost some cocaine,
yeah.
And he's got dealers itching for more product.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene where Crystal she's also upset about everything that she can't do her lines. And McCormick goes and talks.
Acting lines.
Acting lines, yes. She can't do her lines, so she goes to do some wait, no. And McCormick tells her what the deal is. And he wasn't trying to take advantage of her. I mean, he kind of was, but but only because for a good cause.
Yeah.
And then Eddie finally he does recruit him to do the driving.
Yeah.
Of course, he insists on using the Coyote.
Yeah.
He's not going to use some Chevy or something.
No.
He's going to drive a very conspicuous red and white race car.
Of course. Well, Eddie's still a little suspicious of him, right? I mean, he doesn't fully trust him either.
Yeah.
He's guarded as any good businessman would be.
I mean, he is palling around with Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah.
Who he knows is trouble.
Right. That's true.
I mean, everybody knows that Buddy Ebsen had a reputation for being trouble.
He sure did. He was a live wire.
If you were into criminal activities and movie producing, bad idea to hire Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah.
He couldn't help himself. Before we go on, so Beverly Hillbillies, Davy Crockett, Barnaby Jones. Are those his three big things?
I think that's fair to say. Okay. And
they're like movie roles. And
famously not being the Tin Man.
Right,
yeah.
He must have been in other musicals back then and things. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I can't think of any right now, but...
Yeah, okay.
He was a song and
dance
man.
And of course, he didn't play Davy Crockett. He was Davy Crockett's sidekick. Fess Parker was Davy Crockett.
Fess Parker was Davy.
He just seems like he was old.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hear very often of a young Buddy Ebsen. Just not a thing that exists. No. And Barnaby Jones was, Barnaby Jones. It was his shtick.
Right.
It was the old guy detective.
Yeah. And
Barnaby Jones was a very popular show.
In
its time. I mean, it was on for a long time. And
Did that start in the 60s? I
think it started in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it started in the 70s and had kind of a pretty long run, maybe spanning a lot of the 70s. And I guess George the Handyman on Newhart, I think that was his favorite show, Barnaby Jones. So there's an endorsement right there.
Was that a Quinn Martin production?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So it was a good show. Right. Eddie Sands and Quinn Martin are two the finest producers. Not that Quinn Martin was involved in anything. I don't want to allege that Barnaby Jones was a front for other activities. Because it was.
Although I question, was Quinn Martin an actual person?
Yeah. It was a conglomerate of 5 or 6 different people that picked ideas out of the hat and then put these formulas together.
Right. So, Hardcastle and McCormick, they take the Coyote on a trailer down to Mexico. Hardcastle gives McCormick a CB or a walkie-talkie to communicate with him because he's going to be following with the cops. And as soon as he crosses the border, they're going to stop him and use that evidence.
That's the plan, yes.
That's the plan. Of course, one of Eddie's henchmen is suspicious already, and they have some sort of radio tracking thingamabob.
Yes.
So we already know that when McCormick gets the radio, so we know it's going to be trouble. And the guy's following him, and he's listening in while they're talking about all this. But also, Eddie's down there, and he gives McCormick the address, so then the plan already changes. Like, well, Eddie's going to be at the drop, so even better, we can bust him then in L.A. So there's driving, there's Hardcastle is in a helicopter. I was a little worried about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, luckily they didn't drag that out.
And making gruff comments very casually up in a helicopter.
Right.
It does have connections, I'll say that.
And then the guy's following, and he tries to kill McCormick, and then Hardcastle, he's the man. He uses a pistol from the helicopter, which is flying pretty low, but and shoots this guy's car twice.
Yeah. And
the guy runs off the road.
Yeah.
They're able to haul him away.
That's some efficient work by Hardcastle.
It is. And it shows how good a driver McCormick is, because his car got shot at close range, and he didn't wreck at all.
That's right. Well, that's the difference between a professional and some amateurs. I mean, they're part of Eddie Sands' crew, and he only hires the best, as we know. But they're not quite McCormick
maybe it's just that guy's instinct. He's a stunt driver, and oh, the squibs went off. I gotta.
Yeah, it's veered off the road.
Oh, did it again.
Muscle memory. Yeah. That could be.
Just stop doing that.
Yeah.
So McCormick makes it to the drop. He radios to, give him 5 minutes. But it's great because all the dealers are there.
Yeah.
In their sunglasses and wide lapels.
Right.
They're going to get everybody. But then his radio squawks, and it's almost bad news.
Yeah. He tries to talk his way out of it.
Yeah.
Would you believe that's not even
Right.
They don't believe.
No. It seemed like the dealers maybe got away.
Yeah.
They ran as soon as.
Yeah, I think they booked.
But cop car just barrels through the door, and everything works out. They get the bad guys. They're going to put Eddie Sands where he belongs, in jail.
Yeah. Well, I know Eddie Sands likes to make sure everything goes right, but in retrospect, it probably wasn't the best decision to go on, to be on that end of the transaction.
Yeah, that seemed like a little.
It seemed like he could have had somebody else handle that part of it.
I guess he was so worried.
Yeah.
It seemed like he didn't need to be on either end of the transaction. Like, why did he need to go to Mexico?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either.
No. I guess, because the other one went bad, he just wanted to cover his bases.
Yeah. Well, the criminals are a cowardly lot, Mike.
Oh, that's right.
Once they get a taste of failure, they get more and more desperate, and they don't really have any moral code or conviction, so they wind up just chasing that initial criminal goal they have, and in this case, it backfired on Eddie Sands, and I'm glad it did.
Me too. Yeah. He's a jerk.
And he treated Tracy Scoggins badly.
Right, yeah. Nobody should do that. And then we get the little tag scene. I think we're back at the same restaurant. McCormick's there with Tracy Scoggins, Sally now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's thinking about going home, going back to college, maybe getting into PR.
Sure, why not?
And then Hardcastle and Buddy show up, and there's a guy, and he seems to recognize, and they think, he recognizes Buddy, or maybe her. But then it turns out he recognizes McCormick. He calls him by his nickname, Skid. And McCormick assumes it's from his race car driving days, but they were in prison together.
Yeah. Yeah, oops.
Yeah.
You didn't mention that part to Sally earlier.
Maybe she didn't, but they all laughed.
Yeah.
A good laugh at his expense.
Yes, and I did too.
Yeah.
Good old Skid Mark McCormick.
Yep.
What a moniker. So yeah, that's Hardcastle and McCormick.
It is, yeah.
Well, what'd you think of this episode, Mike?
I think I enjoyed it. There might have been some of the other ones might have turned out better, but I liked all the weird, like Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah.
That part turned out, I think, as good or maybe better than I hoped.
Yeah, so. I think so too. I think I'm imagining that we probably got a pretty good taste of the show from this episode.
Yeah.
We got the car chases, we got the camaraderie.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't totally bickering a lot, but there was a little bit.
I mean,
yeah, we got, like you said, car chases, and you did get a sense of their relationship. And, and at this point, which is early in, a third of the way through the first season or halfway through, it's still kind of antagonistic. Hardcastle doesn't trust McCormick to do everything. Yeah.
I mean, they're simpatico enough to go to a drive-in movie together, but contentious enough that they, have some it's probably tough for them to sit through 3 Eddie Sands movies in a row together.
Yeah, but I did write down the titles of those because they were
cool.
Good fake movie titles.
Yeah, I don't remember those.
Fireball 1000.
Oh, that sounds good.
Pit Stop Assassins.
Okay, I like that.
Pagan on Wheels,
Pagan on Wheels.
which he also had a poster for
Okay.
in his office, and Joyride Mamas.
Joyride Mamas.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good bill.
Yeah.
Good night at the drive-in.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I don't feel embarrassed for having watched it as a kid or anything. I feel like I wasted my time.
That's fine.
I think I liked it more than I did the A-Team. It seemed a little less formula.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to catch the bad guys, but like I don't think every episode is like, okay, and at 32 minutes in, he gets in the car and chases someone. And in fact, the book I read would confirm that by cataloging every car chase. And not every episode had a car chase.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's seems like that would be a big disappointment.
If there was a car chase.
I mean, if I were watching the show for the cars, I'd want to see a car chase.
Yeah, if you're watching for the cars, but
yeah. I mean, it would be like the Dukes of Hazzard without a car chase.
It would be like the Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, that would be worse. I think maybe they get away with it because that wasn't ever really the point of the show.
Okay, well,
and you have this relationship and the characters. I don't remember liking it because of the car. I just remember the car being part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're certainly putting that out there as the point of the show, but
yeah.
I'm a little suspicious that the point of the show may have been the car chases.
It's called Hardcastle and McCormick. It's not called Cool Red Sports Car.
Hardcastle and McCormick
it's not
and
like,
Coyote.
Right, it's not like Stingray.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
I bet if that guy doesn't drive his Stingray, I assume he has a Stingray. I don't. Right, he has a cool car.
He's got a Pinto.
A Pinto.
He just says his name's Bob Stingray, and he drives a Pinto.
I would watch that. In every episode, it explodes. Yeah. So if I could watch these in a good quality in an easier way, I would probably watch more of them.
I will agree with that. I think the relative inaccessibility of the show is what would keep me from watching, because there's some on the list that we considered that you put together. There's still a few of those I still think I want to see. Yeah,
and there are ones I read about in here, because like where I was finding episode descriptions, I didn't always have a description. So then I just skipped those because I'm like, well, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Like the Steve Lawrence ones are probably interesting, maybe because they have more character stuff and because seeing him playing a jerk or something. I don't know. I just have memories of him being around in that period, me being aware of him. So, at the height of Steve Lawrence.
Yeah, well, wasn't he hosting Fallops, Bleeps, and Blunders with Don Rickles at the time?
Yeah. Which, by the way, that was the other ratings juggernaut that affected Hardcastle and McCormick, was TV's bloopers and practical jokes on Mondays.
Well, that was like NBC's most rated
which
show.
Also confuses me, like how I could have been watching both of those shows at the same time, because I know I was watching both of them. I
think that one probably moved around a little bit too.
I think it probably did. Yeah. And maybe by the time it became a full-fledged series, I wasn't as engaged as when it was a series of specials.
Yeah, boy, if that one ever shows up on any of these streaming services, it's goodbye Rick for a couple of weeks. I think it's an interesting show. One thing I'll say is maybe the best way to watch Hardcastle and McCormick is, I mean, if you're into the car chases, it looks like a lot of the car chases are like they're chopped up and they're in clips on YouTube. Yeah. You can see those individually.
All right.
And they're labeled from like which episode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like the promos. Like anything sounds good when Ernie Anderson is voicing it.
Yes.
And he sounds especially good on Hardcastle and McCormick. Yeah. And just seeing like little clips of them like yelling at each other or doing something funny.
Right.
Like in the kind of the theme song. To me, that might be the best way to watch Hardcastle and McCormick. Somebody should put together like a 20-minute cut of that kind of stuff with Ernie Anderson narrating it, and I'd be all over that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I think both of the theme songs are on YouTube, and you can definitely have it. Well, I'm sure you'll put them in the YouTube playlist, but that's worth watching at least.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that was a big part, especially of like the kind of this mid-'80s era. We haven't really touched on a lot of other than A-Team, we haven't touched on a lot of these action shows that were pretty popular. And like you said, Hardcastle and McCormick out of the gate was a pretty well received show by the public, and just couldn't top Murder, She Wrote and
bloopers,
Scarecrow and Mrs. King, and these iconic giants of the television industry. That's what it took to take down Brian Keith and Daniel Hugh Kelly and Coyote.
And the Coyote, yeah. Of course. I guess in the day you could buy a model kit of the Coyote.
Oh, back then? They should have
also, there are people who own some of the production cars.
Okay. Drive it around and show it off like the Batmobile or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Maybe if they ever come out here to the local show, we can go out and get the car's autograph and do a bonus episode about it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if it comes out here to us, we gotta go meet that car.
Maybe it'll show up at a show with the truck from BJ and the Bear.
That'd be great, because for years I heard that they feuded and wouldn't be in the same room together.
Sure.
Hopefully they put aside their differences by now.
The truck thought the Coyote stole its paint job.
Yeah. Time to let bygones be bygones at a certain point. Come on.
I think so, yeah.
It's the 80s.
Everybody had a cool car in the 80s.
Yeah.
Everybody had a secret compartment for cocaine.
Yes. Yep, this is pretty much what summarizes the 1980s. Cool cars and secret compartments for cocaine.
Yeah. And activist judges who wouldn't tolerate one of those things.
Yep. It was a better time.
On that note, let's turn off the ignition here. I don't know. Hit the brakes. Is that?
Well, it's a lot better than veering off the side of the road. So
yeah, let's not do that.
I like your way better, yes. Sounds good to me.
Now, none of you should do that unless you need it. You happen to be driving into a parking space, or it's the time if you're driving and listening to this to do one of those things. But other than the veering off, we don't want that or condone that.
Correct. This episode brought to you by Eddie Sands Pictures, 100% pure. This episode also brought to you by Apollo's Chariot, the perfect restaurant for setting up a complicated undercover operation. Try our roast chicken. This episode also brought to you by our new podcast, Battle of the Network Cars. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Battle of the Network Shows. Learn more, leave feedback, and suggest future episodes at battleofthenetworkshows.com. Follow us on Twitter at BatNetShows, and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Battle of the Network Shows.